Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Norbert coming to you from London with an exciting new broadcast about an exciting event that we've got planned. With me here today is Curtis. Curtis is one of the organizers of the Mutant Weekender, as I was this past year, past February. And we're here to talk to you about our plans for the Mutant Weekender coming up in 2025. And we'll give you a little bit of all the details about that in a moment. But Curtis, why don't you first tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how the first Mutant Weekender came to be?
Sure thing. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Curtis. I've been playing MCP for probably about 2 years now. It's probably become my main game. I absolutely love it. And in February 2024, so this year, Dr. Norbert, myself, and a few others hosted the Mutant Weekender. It was we were 48 players in the end.
That's right.
And it was a 2-day event whereby sort of the vision of it was it would be like a World Cup or tournament style event where on day one would qualify you for day two. However, obviously with most tournaments, that sort of knockouty would mean some people would fade away, but we wanted to make sure that everyone had something to play for. So we split people up into groups. We did a very fun sort of like before the event group stage draw where names popped out and people knew their groups beforehand. People then did a bit of a round robin on day one in those groups, and then wherever they finished in their group, so all the first places would then qualify for the top bracket to win the whole Mutant Weekender. Second and third would finish and qualify for the second bracket, and then all the remaining slots within the group. I think we had groups of 6 people,
Yeah.
8 groups. They would then qualify for the bottom bracket. It was really fun. It went really well. We had Dr. Norbert on the bar, which was an absolute highlight.
Yeah.
I think everyone really enjoyed that. We had a big quiz in the evening.
Yeah.
I think players really enjoyed sort of a fresh perspective on the sort of the traditional Swiss style tournaments that still remain competitive. Players could come here, compete with the best and qualify for that top bracket. But
Mm.
likewise, if they didn't quite make it, they still had something to play for on day two. And like with all events, there was a few sort of areas that we felt could have been improved on.
Can I
Sadly,
really quickly just
sure.
add to some of the positives? First of all, it was the first 2-day event that ever held for MCP in London,
Mm.
which was a big deal, and also that we got people from a lot of people from the southeast of England, of course, but we got people flying in from Ireland and also people from Belgium coming up. So we had quite a bit of international representation as well when we sold out.
Absolutely, and I think it's worth mentioning just how difficult it is to host a 2-day event in London. Like, I
Mm.
know people would still think of it as it's the capital, it must be easy. You must have huge player bases, and it's really easy for everyone to get to with the transport links. But hosting an event is so much more than that. It's the logistics of having the appropriate venue,
Mm.
having the appropriate space,
Mm.
terrain, places for people to stay. Like, London's not cheap, so we really appreciate people traveling so far and wide and making that investment. So the fact that we were able to do that and put on sort of London's first 2-day event was phenomenal, and it sort of opened the window, giving us the experience to do more. We did a Teams event shortly afterwards, and of course now we're sort of set up to do 2025 for the Mutant Weekender.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the what we took away as the biggest lessons from the event this past year.
Sure. So, um, while people the first point I'd want to make is while people, I think, did enjoy the sort of that fresh perspective on day one going into day two, the group stage, while fun and it allowed that week before draw and the excitement of knowing your pod and all the chat beforehand, um, we hadn't necessarily prepped because we had groups of 6 and there were 4 rounds on day one. You couldn't do it. There would always be one player you didn't play if you did a round robin.
Mm.
Therefore, if you did a round robin and it wouldn't be the fairest representation if one game missed out. So we did Swiss going into that. But what that meant mathematically was after 1 or 2 rounds, the Swiss format meant that players were having to play other people. The pairings were such that there wasn't a combination that would allow um, all 4 games to go where people play different people. because of how it had been paired up, which meant that there was repeat games, which I don't know about you, Norbert, but for me as a TO, I've TO'd events for other events. The gamer experience is priority,
Yeah.
not necessarily fairness, but you want to try and be as fair as possible.
Yep.
So the idea that players were on day one were playing people that they'd already played, that really irked me. So I
Yeah.
think one thing that we would take away is to try and find a solution to completely avoid that. Whether that's sort of predetermined fixtures with set group sizes, or changing the group structure completely. The other thing was on day two, obviously we had sort of three brackets, which was great. Like we said, everyone had something to play for. The top bracket was 8 players, so we guaranteed over 3 rounds that there would be a winner. But
Yeah.
the other two brackets were slightly larger, with more people qualifying into them, which meant that it came down to a little bit more luck and a little bit more tie breaking. You didn't have that, and sort of a little bit we were like, well, why not? Why not? Why not? Sort of spread the love and have, and there's a opportunity here to have more brackets, more people, then more prizes, more people, more to have, more to play for everyone as well. And the other thing as well is one thing that went down really well, and particularly our international players, they really went in on the hobby side of it. So
Yes.
we had best painted prizes, we had best table prizes, um, and particularly the international ones, they really went in on it, and there were some absolutely fantastic displays.
Yeah.
And I reckon there's probably we could just make more of that, whether it's giving players more time to see them, or having multiple opportunities to show them off throughout the weekend as well could also be an opportunity we could explore, because while it's not necessarily in MCP events, it's not necessarily you have to be fully painted, you have to be X, you have to be Y. It's not that's not necessarily the norm. When players were encouraged to do it, they're encouraged to do like display boards and themes and stuff. My goodness, they went in for it, and it
Yeah.
was phenomenal to see. So
Yeah.
yeah, looking forward to more of that.
Yeah. So we thought that it was such overall, even though there were some niggles about the things, about the logistics and also the event format, we were really emboldened by the response to it and how everybody really enjoyed it. And so the same TO team, decided to put on the event again for next year. So I'm here to tell everybody a little bit about the changes that we've made and encourage you to come along. Yeah. So first of all, if you want to type into Facebook, you type into your browser Mutant Weekender 2025. Hopefully, this event will show up. It should be public so everybody can see it, and that's where you can get all kinds of information, including some of the key little pieces of information about the event, and also importantly, a link to the rules document, which I'll show you in a moment. But the key aspects of it is that we're going to be doing this from the 11th to 12th of January. So a little bit earlier this year by a few weeks. And the other important thing is that we're moving it to a different venue, which is Dark Sphere, which is a very well-known gaming shop and also huge space on the west side of London. So it's near Shepherd's Bush, where there's a number of mega malls there as well. And the nice thing about Dark Sphere is not only is it a very a clean and spacious space, it allowed us to expand all the way up to our target of 64 players instead of 48. What does that
Wow,
enable? Yeah,
that's great.
it is great. I'm really pleased because it enables us to do a couple of things. So this is the rules document. Let me put it to viewing only. There we are. There we go. And so here, as I said, you can get a link from the Facebook page, but I just want to go over a couple of points here. The first one is what we learned is that let me get to the format. Here we are. What we learned is it would be far easier if we did a qualifying stage on Saturday and having the pods then on Sunday, and in a way that you're not playing anybody again. So we've simplified things in a sense, in that Saturday is just going to be one big tournament, so everybody's in it, and there'll be a few prizes on that day for best affiliation, maybe best standings. We're still working that out. So there'll be a bunch of things that people could win already on day one. But what it also does is that depending on, let's say there's all 64 players who come, you're going to be ranked 1 through 64 through strength of schedule. And then that means that on Sunday, you get placed into a pod depending on where you're placed on day one. So if you are lucky enough to be one of the top 8 people on day one, you're going to be placed in the Omega level threat pod. And so on Sunday, so that'd be 4 games on the Saturday to get to this point. And then on Sunday, all the pods are 8 people big. And so you're going to play 3 rounds to get a clear winner in each one of these pods. And so if we get all 64, which we're on track to doing, you will have Omega level threats, Alpha level, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, and the almighty Eta level threat mutants. So
See you there.
see you there. So, what do you think of those changes? I should mention you're a new father, so you're going to take a little bit of a background role in the TOing, but you are, in fact, you have purchased a ticket and will be there as a player. So, how does this strike you from a player's perspective?
Oh yeah, absolutely buzzing. Like you say, having to sort of take a little bit of a backseat in my gaming time. Not unfortunately because it's to do, like you say, something incredibly exciting.
Mm.
But really, really grateful for yourself and the rest of the TO team for sort of pulling the weight on this. I'm absolutely buzzing. I bought my ticket straight away. I got permission from my wife
Mm.
to allow me to do this. And this will probably be my like reintroduction to events in a couple of months' time. And
Nice.
I really can't wait. Like lots of players out there, I really do enjoy going to events. But it's more than just the gaming. I mean, the gaming is great. Obviously, I want to try and get as many games in as possible. But it's the social side, and what the 2 day event enables you to do is to have a proper social and to hang out with people, whether it's
Yes.
in the evening, joining festivities, getting some social games in on the Friday, playing some new people. Um, but on the gaming side, so I've been really enjoying trying to make Charles Xavier's X-Men work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, having to take a bit of a pause here. But I keep saying to people, I keep going to events and I do 2 and 2 or 3 and 1 or whatever. And I'm nearly there. And I'm like, look, I really want to see how this goes in a 2 day event,
Yeah.
like playing lots of different opponents. It doesn't have to necessarily have the skew that you might have in a 1 day event. Really, really test its wheels. I think it can go far, and this really gives you the opportunity. And after day one, you know the pack gets reshuffled. You then get placed against people who are hopefully as good
Right.
as you
Right.
and operating on your level. So then on day two, and you're pretty much guaranteed it in this format. Um there is no well, apart from maybe on the fine inches, if I finish 35th, I'm right in the middle of the pack.
Mm.
I'm going to be playing against other people in the middle of the pack, and that's great.
Right.
And we're going to be playing against each other, full hog because
Mm.
we've got something to win still, and
Yeah.
that's really really great. There's no chance of the best 10 players, those 2 missing out, and then ruining everyone's day in the middle of the pack
Yeah.
because they will have their own still fiercely competitive, a 9 to 16. So
Right.
I'm as a sort of a mid-table gamer. I'm really, really happy for this. I've got something to aim for, but if I land somewhere where I might be more comfortable, I'm going to have a great day too.
Yeah. Now, another thing that we've changed to add a little spiciness to the mix is that we're going to allow roster changes between day 1 and day 2. How does that strike you?
Oh, this is well. My first inkling is always like, nah, people should commit. People need to,
Mm. Mm.
take the consequences of their actions.
Mm.
However, this is a game that we play for fun, and I actually think it adds like a type of spice for all sorts of players
Right.
because um you can like there's a tactic here now, there's a strategy. If you are one of these, you're ranking 600 plus on Longshanks and therefore you're going for
Mm.
the silverware at the top, you can think, right, what's good in a 64 player room versus what's good against the top 8,
Mm-hmm.
and I can make those changes.
Mm-hmm.
Also you will have seen what those top table
Yep.
players have been playing day one and what's working,
Yep.
and you can start to counter it. You can start to tweak it. Likewise, they're going to be tweaking and countering for what you're bringing. So it's not like it makes it unfair. It doesn't make it easier. It actually probably makes it 10 times harder for those top players.
Yeah.
Likewise, if you've had a rotten day one,
Yes.
you brought iHulk and he rolls nothing but blanks, you can bin him off. Or you didn't bring iHulk and you had a rotten day and you just want to throw things around the table, bang him into your roster for day two. And I think that it really opens it up to both the more casual types who are there for a bit of fun, who can mix it up, but also those competitive gamers. So I really, really like that change, particularly with the way the format is. You know, it's almost like having two events, isn't it?
Right.
So being able to have those changes is really fun.
Yep, exactly. As you mentioned earlier, we're going to have best painted tables prizes. We're going to have best painted prizes as well. So people are encouraged to, and we actually need help with tables and terrain. So please do bring those along. Let us know if you can. We'll be polling people as well. One final thought is about the venue. Now, you've been to Dark Sphere before. I'm just throwing up some pictures of the venue itself.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell people about your experience here?
Certainly. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Darksphere. I host a MESBG event for a similar amount of players there every year, another 2-day event, and they are great hosts. It is a dedicated gaming space, so
Hmm.
you have plenty of space. There are plenty of tables. It is obviously a working shop as well, so there will be other people in sharing the space with you.
Hmm.
It's nice and cool. There are obviously some downsides. It's quite dark. Sort of it's part of a shopping centre, so a lot of its facilities it relies on those that are available in the shopping centre.
Hmm.
Um, but in terms of as a dedicated gaming space, it's brilliant. There's a ton of stock in there as well
Yeah.
for loads and loads of gaming systems as well. So whether it's between games, before games, after games, you can have a browse and you can purchase and um, no doubt, console yourself or celebrate with your winnings. You can there's all that on offer. But I really rate the space, and the people who run it they're gamers as well, even
Yeah.
though it's obviously such a big space. And they care about the gaming. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Darksphere.
Yeah. I'm pleased about it too. 2 points about this. One is they normally don't do this, but for us, they're arranging a temporary liquor license. So there will be alcoholic beverages for sale
Mm,
at the venue during our event.
that Norbert, this is where you've brought your skills. This is your comparative advantage. I've been hosting events here for 3 years now, and I've not even dared ask, and suddenly, you come in with your negotiating powers, and you get us what we want, and everyone is going to be so bloody pleased for it.
Yeah, it's really good. And I'm just throwing up a little close up of the map of the area. So Dark Sphere here is at the bottom. It's in a older shopping mall here. It is in the lower level, so you have to go down a flight of stairs from ground level, just so people understand that. But the point is this isn't a shopping center. And Westfield, the world famous mall, Westfield Mall, is just to the northwest here in terms of this picture. So the top left is where
Yeah,
Westfield is, walking
and
distance.
like all London venues, to Dark Sphere doesn't cater. It sells snacks and drinks and stuff, but it doesn't necessarily cater lunch and stuff if you want something a little bit more. But like anywhere in London, and particularly here, because they're in a shopping centre, there's Westfields across the road. There's lots and lots of options for
Yeah,
lunch.
yeah.
So that's quite easy to sort out.
Yeah, and you can see how close it is to mass transportation links. It's literally across the road. This is the underground station, so the tube, Shepherd's Bush, which is the central line, and then just across a little bit up here is the overground and National Rail Services Shepherd's Bush station. So super easy to get to. Well, I have information on how to get there from the Eurostore or from the north of England by train. All the various airports as well have links directly to it, which are as little as 45 minutes, as much as an hour and 40 minutes if you go for the further away airports. But otherwise, very easy to get to. Right.
Yeah,
Anything else that we should mention? Oh, I should say we've already sold 41 tickets out of the 64 spaces that we have available. Yes. So there's not that many left. So what does that make? Like 23 left. They are priced at 45
yeah,
pounds.
23 left,
Yeah, just 23 left.
and
So
they've only been on sale a couple of days. So
yeah,
yeah, not long.
we have Swedes coming, Austrians coming, and I believe some Slovakians as well. And I'm very hopeful that the Belgians are
Wow.
coming again as they did last year. So, yeah, we've got a lot of international representation already, but we would love to have more people to come. So, we hope that this video will help convince you a little bit to come if you're on the fence about it. And if you do have any questions, reach out to me, Dr. Norbert, on Discord or Facebook or I don't know, everywhere else. Just get a hold of us and
Carrier pigeon, message in a bottle. He'll find it.
Please do. Don't hesitate to contact me if you're on the fence, and we'll help you as much as we can to convince you and hopefully your friends to come along before the event sells out. Any final words from you,
Please.
Curtis?
I mean, we bill it as a sort of a competitive event, but really it couldn't be more perfect for beginners too, because of the nature of the pods on day two. A
Yep.
big shout out to Seven City Collectibles and Will Champion, who I took a similar format for last year's inspiration, that he does in other systems, and it works really really well there. We proved that it works well here, and Norbert, you've gone and improved it no end. So yeah, it's a perfect event for both experienced and new players alike. So yeah, don't hesitate, grab a ticket.
Wonderful. All right, Curtis, thank you so much for your help today in the video. And we hope to see you at the Mutant Weekender, the 11th and 12th of January of 2025 at Dark Sphere Gaming Center. Hope to see you there.
See you there.